Folks, we've talked a lot about weird, gross, disgusting foods that have been made by people on the internet. A good majority of the time, these attempts at making food are something that's consistent with a normal meal. Something that's not extraordinarily different. They're just making a burger, or they're just trying to make pasta. King Cobra and Iron Wrath are exceptions to that. But anyway, a good majority of the time, we're just looking at simple dishes. Sometimes these simple dishes can be messy. There's nothing inherently wrong with messy food, but there has to be a distinction made between food that's good that just happens to, make a mess sometimes, versus food that is made to look good aesthetically, but is a pain in the ass and a mess to eat. Yes, I am talking about the concept of stunt food, which if you've ever seen a TikTok or YouTube short talking about some restaurant and their specialty dish, you probably know what I'm talking about. Stunt food is food that is made to look appealing. You're supposed to take pictures of it. You're supposed to take videos of it without really thinking about the idea of ingestion. And like I was saying, there's a fine line between food that's good to eat and just happens to be messy and stunt food. The best example I can think of, for whatever reason, is the burger that Peter B is eating in Into the Spider-Verse. That's good food that just happens to be messy. An example of stunt food would be one of those burgers you see with the little cylinder of cheese on top that they lift up and the cheese just envelops the burger. That's stunt food. It's messy for no reason other than the aesthetic of it. So today I just want to look over a few of the weird stunt foods I've found within the past few weeks, and I want us to discuss kind of why they don't necessarily always work as a complete dish and can inevitably just end up being a waste of food. Before we begin, as always, make sure to like and subscribe. We're trying to reach 5,000 subs as our next sub goal, and folks, if you're familiar with our Cooking with Jack series, you will know that once we reach 5,000 subs, I will indeed make and try Aunt Myrna's party cheese salad. So if you want to see that, you know what to do. And thanks for your support. Most people love pasta, and most people love pizza. Personally, lasagna and pizza happen to be two of my favorite overall dishes. So you'd think that combining the two might make something that's greater than the sum of its parts, right?
Fresh Neapolitan-style pizza dough gets sliced, then they layer a tray with tomato sauce, a pizza slice, tomato sauce, basil, fried meatballs, fresh mozzarella, Parmesan cheese, and ricotta cheese. They top it with another pizza slice, tomato sauce, basil, fried meatballs, ricotta cheese, mozzarella cheese, and Parmesan. Then you guessed it, another pizza slice, tomato sauce, some basil, ricotta, Parmesan, those fried meatballs, and mozzarella. They slam another pizza slice. They smother it all in tomato sauce, Parmesan cheese, and a healthy amount of mozzarella. They oven bake it to look like this. Transfer it to a plate, and it gets finished with a bechamel and basil. This is the lasagna pizza from San Mateo in New York City's Upper East Side. Who's hungry? I've never had anything like this, and it is awesome.
Just make a lasagna. The only purpose that the pizza serves is to create the layers in between the ingredients, much like the lasagna pasta would. Execution-wise, it's not the messiest of stunt foods, but conceptually, you could just take that first layer, put it in the oven by itself, and have a pizza. Stacking it serves no functional purpose, as weird as that is to say about food, except adding on extra carbs and making it more difficult to eat. Maybe if instead of doing it by the individual slices, if they made like a whole tray of it like you would a normal lasagna, it might work out a little better. I think that the pizza crust just doesn't mesh well with the concept of layering. Lasagna pasta is so thin on purpose, so that way you can put multiple layers of everything, including the pasta. One of the worst things about it is a lot of foods like this are super freaking expensive just because of the gimmick of it. A lot of restaurants make foods like this that are purely meant to be shared online, not for the flavor of it, and so they'll charge you exorbitant fees just so you can go in with your camera and take a picture of it before attempting to eat it and realizing that it's impractical as hell. If I really wanted to play devil's advocate, yeah, I'd try it, of course, but I think it would be better executed if it was just 2 slices of pizza stacked on top of each other. There's no reason to pile it that high. At that point, just pull a Pizza Hut and have the double-decker pizza. The next video is one that I just can't wrap my head around.
Las Vegas is out here breaking records with the largest fried mozzarella stick in the world. They kept the girth and added the inches. I would love to tell you that this is just stunt food, but it's actually really delicious.
Now, I love cheese sticks. Cheese sticks, cheese curds, any kind of fried cheese, give it to me and it'll be gone within a minute. But to go into food science mode for a minute, part of the reason why a lot of dishes that exist now work is because of the ratios. A mozzarella stick or a cheese curd is delightful because of how limited it is. The ratio of breading to cheese is damn near perfect. With a giant fried mozzarella stick like this, you're completely screwing up the entire ratio. It would be the theoretical equivalent of saying something along the lines of, I like cucumber in my salad, so in order to get the maximum potential of both worlds, I'm going to take a bite of cucumber and a bite out of this head of lettuce. The ratios of ingredients are what make the dish the dish. At this point, you're not making a mozzarella stick. This is just a log of cheese that's been fried. I'm not going to take a pizza and drown it in a bowl of sauce and say it's a pizza anymore. At that point, it's something completely different. What? I don't know, but it is something different. And speaking of drowning things in sauce, now this is a classic one. Variations of dishes like this have been going viral on the internet near a decade now. This is what I'm talking about when I make the distinction between messy food and stunt food. A messy food would be take that pizza, put extra cheese and sauce on it. It's a little hard to eat, it makes a little bit of a mess, but whatever. A messy stunt food, I would genuinely like to know how you would approach tackling this dish. Would you dump it all out on a plate? Probably not, because then that would ruin the presentation that it's been placed in. How are you going to say you want some spaghetti and then you want to bite a pizza? You've got to go through all that spaghetti and the meatball first before you can get to the pizza. And by that time, you realize that you're so bloated you're about to explode, so you have to cave in and concede to the fact that you're paying $50 for some mediocre spaghetti and a takeout pizza. If I can be a snob for just a second, that pizza doesn't look that good. That looks like a frozen pizza. Knowing a lot of these places and how they're creating these dishes just for shock value, I would not be surprised if they're just purchasing frozen pizzas to make and half-assing the effort that it takes to make their stunt food in the first place. This next one, I don't really know if I'd classify it as stunt food because it's not done in a professional restaurant setting like the majority of these. I wanted to include it anyway because it is on a large channel with almost 2.5 million views, and because it's taking a conventional food and trying to make it in a unique way for the aesthetic of it rather than conventional purposes for food, which is, as we all know, for eating. Now, I'm going to pause right here as they put in that last slice of cheese. At this point, this is just a very, very, very bad-looking meatloaf. As we can all tell by the caption, this is going to be a burger, apparently. Those aren't even frozen French fries. Those are McDonald's fries. You can tell just by looking at them that those are McDonald's fries that she purchased maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. And I'm just realizing that you can see the fry box in the back. Why would you go to McDonald's just to buy fries and make this shit? Just buy burgers there.
Look at this. This is like instead of a meatloaf, you eat this. Because meatloaf is not always great. But what could be bad about burgers? And don't worry about that. That will come off. About burgers and mayonnaise. And this is my fancy sauce on top.
Ketchup, mustard, mayo, barbecue sauce. Fancy.
These are Beyond Burgers. Very good for you. So this whole thing is healthy for meatloaf.
She couldn't even finish the sentence declaring that these are healthy because she knows that this isn't true. Yeah, the Beyond Burgers are plant-based, but when you're throwing them in slop like this, it doesn't really matter. I feel like I must have made a reference to it at some point before. Maybe not in a commentary video, but I must have at some point. This is just the Taco Town sketch from SNL.
But not before we take the whole thing and wrap that in a Chicago-style deep dish meat lovers pizza. Pizza?
If you're carbo loading or you're bulking for whatever, I guess, sure, go at it, my guy. For anybody that wants a practical meal to eat, I'm not going out to lunch and ordering myself a Philly steak burrito. If you want to combine the two, just have a Philly cheesesteak pizza. Those things are great. When I make pizza dough, that's usually one of my go-tos. I want to go back and look at that pizza real quick. Okay, that does look like a genuine, actual home/restaurant made pizza. Unlike the pizza spaghetti cone earlier, they at least got this from another restaurant or went out of their way to make a pizza used for this dish. I can't get too mad at it though, because I genuinely cannot tell if this is just a joke or if it's a real stunt food that a restaurant would sell, because there are restaurants that do much more horrendous things out there. This next clip included.
Have you heard of a cheesesteak? It's a fun twist on the classic. They chop up a traditional cheesesteak, add more cheese, and then flip it to meld all the flavors together. It creates a unique, cheesy experience while preserving the beloved elements of the cheesesteak.
Again, not 100% sure that this isn't a joke, going off of the assumption that it isn't. Why? At this point, you might as well just buy a cheesesteak, give it to somebody, and have them mama bird it onto another hoagie roll. Would you even consider this a Philly cheesesteak anymore? They refer to it in the video as a Philly cheesesteak, but it's more of a Philly cheesesteak chopped cheese, because you're taking the whole dish, chopping it up, and then putting it on that hoagie roll.
Layers of shredded mozzarella cheese, a healthy amount of pepperoni, not one, not two, but 3 scoops of ricotta, and a little more shredded mozzarella. They fold over that fresh pizza dough, they close up the sides.
Never in my life have I ever seen anybody crimp a calzone with the edge of a pizza cutter.
They poke a hole on top, transfer it to a pan, and slide it into the oven to look like this. This is the cheesy pepperoni calzone from Nuovo York Pizza in New York City.
See, this is one of the epitomes of stunt food that just becomes impractical because you're putting so much garbage into it that it literally falls apart before you can even consider attempting to eat it. Like, yeah, sure, pizza sauce, pepperoni, ricotta, whatever, put it in there and I'll eat it. But when it's that much, it's not appetizing anymore because it just falls apart. Now, this is what I wanted to talk about, not just because of its stunt food potential, but, well, just watch it and see if you can figure out what's off about it. And no, the thing that's off that I'm talking about is not the god-awful amount of sauce that's not even on the sandwich anymore, although that is horrendous, and that sandwich is dreadfully overstuffed to the point of, again, being difficult to eat. But no, the concept of sandwiches, or I've even seen people do burritos, that have some sort of steak or ribs or something in it, that have the bone in it that you pull out before eating because it's so tender it slides off the bone, is nothing new. And this could just be an example of that, except that the meat in this sandwich is shredded and or pulled, meaning that they put that bone in the sandwich purely for decoration. Maybe it was the bone that the meat was originally on, but that still doesn't answer the question of why the hell you put it back in the sandwich after the meat was taken off. And I'll give you the answer. It's so they can charge about $39 for it.
Next, their giant party cannoli. Every square inch gets absolutely jam-packed with regular sized cannoli, topped with chocolate chips, plated with more regular sized cannoli, topped with powdered sugar, fruit to make it nice and healthy, and of course, 3 more cannoli with chocolate chips and powdered sugar. I mean, come on.
This is what I'm talking about when I talk about layers on layers on layers on layers in the stunt food. How am I, or we, supposed to eat this? Do I just take a bite out of the front? Is it a party tray kind of thing where the giant cannoli shell is more for presentation and you eat the smaller ones inside? And if you haven't noticed, a lot of the videos that I've been talking about in this video have been uploaded by the TikTok and YouTube account Devour Power. You might think I'd be calling them out for giving advertising to stunt food or whatever and blah blah blah. I say, go for it, my guy. They know what they're doing. He has a running gag of saying that they put a healthy amount of sugar, or, you know, they put fruit on this to make it healthy. They know what they're doing. Filming free advertising for these restaurants, and in turn, they're getting food. They're not ultimately doing any harm. Yes, stunt food may be stupid in the long run, but that doesn't mean that you can't chase that bag. If I was able to travel all over the country and try different exorbitant foods, although they may piss me off, you know I'd jump at that opportunity. So Devour, if in whatever blue moon this may possibly come across your screen, you want to do a collab, hit me up. And that is going to do it for today's video, folks. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you have any other particular stunt foods or cooking videos, weird YouTube channels, videos, TV shows, movies, anything you think is funny, weird, and interesting that you want me to take a look at. As always, a huge shout out to all our Patreon supporters, and if you still want to vote in last month's Patreon poll, that is still live right now if you sign up, and the next poll for this month will be going live in just a few days. So if you want to more directly influence the content you see on this channel, make sure to sign up. As always, thanks y'all for supporting and sticking around, and I hope to see y'all in the next one. See ya.